Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the next Q&A about women's safety. Now, most of the questions and most of the things we're going to be talking about today is not as much dating, relationships, safety, and security as much as it is a little bit about the coronavirus, virus safety, safety precautions, scams coming up, since you are all apparently locked up in your houses, along with the rest of us, given the boring circumstance and location here. There's not been so much of dating questions coming in because I guess you're all pretty much sitting at home waiting to be able to go out and date. And that's good because that's technically a lot safer. I have some advice to make that a little bit safer. We're going to talk about internet dating, internet safety. We're going to talk about some specifics advice that I got from my command in the military and some other stuff about the coronavirus and handling of safety equipment that I think is really important right now. And there's a few dating questions, and you know what? I'm gonna go straight to them quickly because they're fairly few. One question was leading me to the advice of don't use a crisis, a personal crisis, or as we now have, global crisis, or job crisis, war, whatever you might have. Don't use that as an excuse to start up on a bad relationship again. A lot of people, they do that, and I see it all the time when you have good relationships end. Let's say you have a bad relationship, as the case is here. It didn't work very well, but there is a little bit of this codependency in a lot of relationships because it is what you know. And that's why a lot of times it's hard to leave a bad relationship because, well, you know what you have. You kind of got dependent on that routine. And it's hard to leave it for what you don't know, which is including being alone. And I promise you, it's better to be alone than in a bad relationship. It varies for everybody. It is far better to be alone, or be around your friends, or have a little time to yourself than stay in a bad or abusive relationship. Now, as the case was here, the question is not much of a question, more of a statement. We have a problem in today's world right now. We have a virus going on, and a lot of us are sitting in our homes waiting to get out and finding out how this is going to play out. And we see the lines in the stores, and you worry about money, and a lot of people worry a lot about this. Number one, this will end. It will pass. This will not last forever. It is not the next normal. Just remember that, because I'll get back to it. However, right now you're probably stressing. A lot of you are stressing, you're worried, you're sitting at home, and this is just, it's hard. And that leads you to start thinking about, well, the last person you dated, and maybe it's a good time, maybe we should try again. And at least there's a guy in the house, and I'm not alone, and all the things you'll start telling yourself as an excuse to pick up the phone and call your ex, because at least it's what you know, as opposed to sitting home alone, being afraid and worried about things. It's better to be sitting home alone, worried about things, or talk to your friends. Spend your time with your family. This is a really good time to spend quality time with your family and actually talk to them, especially those the older generation that you may not have around for so long. Right now you have time. You have time to talk to your grandparents, your great-grandparents, and if you're not in the same place, talk to them on the phone and learn something. Talk about their childhood, about some of the hardships they went through, because I promise you, if you have grandparents or great-grandparents, the hardships they went through is far worse than the enhanced virus flu that we have right now. I promise you, you talk to some of the Londoners that went through the bombing of World War II, you talk to some of the parents in Dresden or in Germany, or those who sat at home while there's soldiers and airmen here who were away fighting. That hardship is far worse than you have to scrounge a little bit for a few weeks without toilet paper. So don't use this as an excuse to get back with the bad relationship, because the bad relationship is still going to be there when all this crisis is over and the sun rises and the summer starts and the virus goes away, or we find a cure or a vaccine or whatever we do. So no, it is not good. Don't use the crisis as an excuse to start a bad relationship. Just don't do it. And if anyway you have any specific questions on that one, just write me. I'll be happy to elaborate on how bad an idea that is, because it is a very bad idea. All right, so we have a lot of social media. Now that you're all sitting at home, spending way too much time on your computer, obviously, because that's what you have. Internet dating probably is going through the roof right now, because we all still have a social gene. We want to date, we want to meet somebody, and sitting at home now you have all this time, besides posting photos on Facebook of what you had for lunch 6-7 years ago, because now there's time for it. There's also, well, there's a little bit of advice I want to give you on social media in general. And this is not virus dependent, since right now everybody's sitting at home, which means everyone knows that you are probably all going to be home. So home invasions, break-ins, hopefully should not occur in the way it usually does, because everyone is aware that you're at home. And if you're here in America, you all know that if we're home, we're probably armed, so don't break into the house. Let's take this as a non-corona specific question. Social media, I see it a lot, where you got to think about 1 in every 3 of American women have had a stalker. And talking about stalking, wrote a book about it, stalking doesn't always start maliciously. You have to remember, and this is important to note, men and women break up differently. Women will process the breakup before you activate it. Before you tell the guy, you will complain and you will nudge and you will cry with your friends and you will talk to you. You will process this with your friends and family before you actually tell the guy it's over. And we men are usually fairly clueless as to what is really going on. We just think you're having a bad couple of weeks, month, and we don't get the little hints. So when we as men are broken up with, that's when we start processing that, holy hell, I should have fixed something. Maybe I can change. And then we start all sorts of crazy things and sending you flowers and coming around with chocolate and trying to get the relationship going again, because we are just beginning the process of understanding that there was a problem. The problem is that most women at this point, you're already over it. You're done. By the time you say goodbye, you mean it. That means a lot of guys, they are trying to process this in a way that, well, I have seen some of the most balanced in my life of personal security and security. I've seen some of the most balanced, well-to-do, well-meaning guys ask me, can you please go by her house and see if there's somebody there? Can you find out if she's seeing someone? Can you do this? Can you do that? And not from a place of maliciousness, just from a place of trying to understand what happened and how to process this. And it's hard for a lot of guys to do this. And for that reason, I will say, when you break up with somebody, explain it to them so they understand it. Answer all their questions. Give them a couple of days or a week where you'll pick up the phone and explain to them, no, it's still over, this is why. You have to make it absolutely clear in their mind that you're done. And after that, you probably should separate all contact for 6, 7, 8 months. Hopefully there can be a friendship after that. I have been a very, very fortunate person. I've dated some wonderful women in my life, and I'm still friends with all of them. And it absolutely can be done, even in America. But anyway, that led me back to the whole stalking thing. You have stalkers for various reasons. Sometimes you have malicious stalkers. We have rapists that stalk their victims before. You have crimes of opportunity. You have criminals, burglars. You have a lot of different dangers And depending on what you post on social media about your whereabouts, where you are, what you do, makes it easier for those criminals. For instance, if I were to break into somebody's house, hypothetically, I would follow them on their social media, find out, well, they're just posting me from the Bahamas. Obviously, they're not home. Now the house is empty for a week. So this is what I suggest you do. Say, wait until you get home from Bahamas. That's when you post. You don't have to post everything real time. And for the most part, no, and I'm saying this with all respect, no one really cares if they get your holiday photos a week late. Same thing if you go to the same restaurant every week at roughly the same time, and because people know, because on every social media you post pictures from this restaurant at the same time every week that day. It will eventually become clear that this is where you are going to be next week. You are number one, your house is empty. If somebody wants to know that, they know where to find you. So put a delay on your social media posts until you are no longer there, or the routine is not that clear to people who may or may not want to do you any good. And especially if there's past breakups or crazy ex-boyfriends, they don't need to know when you're home and when you're not home. This is where maybe it's a good idea to get some of your Hells Angels buddies and take pictures with them and post that on your social media so your ex-boyfriend won't come bother you. Just a suggestion. Don't do time limit. Don't post your holiday plans. Don't post your personal information. Just really think about. Put on the other shoe. Sit down with your friend and say, all right, if I want to harm my friend, look through her posts and say, well, this is where I could find you. This is how I could do you damage. This is when I know, and have her do the same thing about you. To just give yourself a good idea, but a little bit of common sense, a little bit of prudence. It's a good word that we don't use enough. I think that's going to be the word of the day, prudence. Okay. I have a personal question from Betty Boo. I'm giving out your name because I am pretty sure sometimes I'm a smart guy and I don't think Betty Boo is your actual name. So we're going to go with that. You have a problem figuring out. She's a lovely young lady. She is questioning her own judgment in the men she dates. And I think we can all sometimes question our own judgment in our dating choices. I live in Los Angeles. I question the sanity of that in itself. See, I told you what town I'm in, but I didn't tell you where in town I am. See? So if you want to come look for me in Los Angeles, knock yourself out. I think there's 4 million people here. Okay, here's a suggestion. If you are easily fooled by people who put up a facade on the first couple of dates, and you have a track record of picking bad relationships, here's your clue. If you look back and you go like, dear Lord, the last 10 guys I dated all turned out to be crazy psychos. Well, the one common denominator in this is you. And we don't always listen to the little instinct. I keep beating the dead horse on listen to your instincts. Internally, you know. In the back of your head, you know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. But if you don't trust that little voice, this is what you do. On the second date or third date or whenever you go out with this person again you're not sure about, make it a 2, 3, 4 triple date. Do something with your friends. Because if you bring in several of your friends, it's one thing is for a bad date to put on a facade for you and keep up a pretense for you. Now this person have to also try to do it to 3 or 4 other critical people that are looking at him rather judgmentally, I would say. And there's something to be said to see how a date, male or female, interacts with your friends. Is this a socially outgoing person? Is they friendly? Can they talk to different people in different situations? It's back to, are they rude or not rude to the waiter, a waitress? It's how are they behaving to other people? So do something together. Do a barbecue. Have them come in and meet all your friends, and then get their opinion, because someone will pick up on the little social on and odd and off uh, for this date that you may have, and then listen to their judgment. I've learned a lot from bringing dates around to my friends, of seeing how they interact with others, and sometimes their behavior completely changes, and they become a very unsocial person. And I understand not everybody's outgoing, but still, it's something that's worth keeping an eye on. All right, Betty, I hope that's it. Otherwise, Betty, let me know, and we'll take a look at this guy. Tell me specifics, and we'll see. My favorite one is on your personal security advice and your cell phone. Now, you all know that I hate cell phones. Fine, we need cell phones. We need cell phones to communicate. We need cell phones to transmit information and messages. What we don't need is to have our face buried in the cell phone 24/7. We don't need to walk down the street looking at the phone while walking, not looking where we're going. We don't need to look at the cell phone when we're driving, especially not when some of us are on a motorcycle around your car. I don't know how many times that happened. Your cell phone, use it for what it is. It is not something you must have, it's something you have for communication. And if you need to feel the need to be entertained, put on a lecture. There's plenty of good lectures and talks on YouTube, such as any of mine. That way you'll fall asleep quicker, trust me. There's a lot of good stuff, and I think use the information technology you have to learn something or pick up information. It should not always be about entertainment and playing games and all that silly stuff, because there's more to life than that. But whenever my mother once told me, back in the day when it was cool to smoke, that a lady does not walk with a cigarette lit in her hand. She will stand or sit somewhere and have a cigarette and put it out. I think we should adopt that old antic to cell phones. You don't walk with your cell phone. You stand, you sit, you make the call, you send the text message, you put it away, and you go about your business with a little bit of focus. And if you don't, you might walk into a bear.
Driveway down Mayfield, and now he's on Briggs, and now it looks like he's turning into another driveway here. We're going to kind of maneuver around and see if we can get another shot of him. But yeah, he would definitely.
Right there.
Oh man! I always love that clip. All right, back to internet dating and internet dating safety. We all, well, some of us who are single are on various dating websites. Fine. There's a lot of scamming going on dating websites. There's a lot of fake profiles. There's a lot of catfish, and it wasn't actually until recently I discovered what that was. The most important thing is for you to, of course, understand and know that the person you are talking to is the person you're talking to. So getting some sort of verification, live video feed, talk to them on a phone. You don't have to use your own phone. You can get a Google phone number, or you can at least block your number for calling. But you want to, before you meet somebody that you've met through an internet site, take a little time and meet and talk on the phone, get some video calls so you can see this person. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with maybe getting a picture of the driver's license. They can block out the driver's license number, or a copy of some official ID. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I like if somebody have them. I actually had somebody fool me on that one once. There's so many scams, and it all turns into money. And I will say a lot of the back in the day, there was a lot of African scams of African princes that wrote different businessmen and said, I have millions of dollars in this bank account, send me your information and we'll split it, kind of thing. That has now turned into the African dating scam, apparently, and some of them are very good. They'll chat with you for a long time. I don't know if this is just for them sitting out there pretending to be cute women, or this is also something that they're doing for guys to girls here, and I'm assuming it is. Very interesting. Be a little critical. Look at the photos. Make sure they all match. Get more photos. Get realistic, real photos, real-time photos. Tell them to write their name on a piece of paper and hold it up with it, whatever you want them to write, and make it elaborate. I actually had somebody who pretended to be this young lady, and I said, well, write your name on a piece of paper and hold it up in front of you, and there's this picture they did. But the hands were wrong. I could see it was photoshopped in, and like, okay, that's what we're doing. So, real-time chat. There's no excuse. You can chat anywhere before you even think about meeting. And if they start talking about sending money, things have gone sideways. And if there's an urgency, we have to do this really soon because I'm doing something. No. If you see there's a lot of parameters in dating sites where you search for somebody within 50 miles of your area, and then all of a sudden you have all these people that are thousands of miles away, and they ping in on your profile, and you're like, who are you and why? How did we meet? And well, they're temporarily away, and they'll chat for a while, and then they get stuck in this foreign country and having their wallet stolen, and please send money so I can go home. And a lot of times they seem to be on church trips. I guess that makes it sound like they're more legitimacy, but still, no. When you are finally satisfied that these people are who they say they are, you meet them in a safe place, in a public place. You do not have your dates pick you up for the first date from your house. You do not get in their cars on the first date, ever. You meet at a public restaurant, and he does not have to drive you to your car, or you meet, you separate. Let trust build. In this day and age, and I don't know if it's worse in Europe. I have some very troubling indications of how things are going in Europe for a lot of different reasons, and I'll leave Mark Stein to talk about that. He does it better than I do. But seriously, don't give out your address. If they want to say, well, give me your address so that they can send you flowers or chocolate or something. No, you do not give out your address. In fact, in this day and age, you don't actually have your address on anything. You get a P.O. box. You get a mailbox. That's where you get your mail sent. And if you are in any which way a profile person in any kind of slightly higher profile job, you most definitely do not put your address anywhere. P.O. box, everything goes to the P.O. box. Nothing goes to your home address. It's not on any writing anywhere, and if ever is, you shred it before you throw it out. That is important. When you go on that first date, tell friends. Maybe send them a picture. We're going to this restaurant with this guy. This is what his name and phone number is. We're going to have them check in after a couple of hours. Let them know who and what and why and where. Try to stay sober and don't get no drugs and not too much alcohol. And I say not too much because it's a date, so let's face it, you're going to go out and you're going to have drinks, but don't get wasted and lose track of where you are and what you're doing. Again, build trust, think safety first. Don't be paranoid, but think safety first. Again, with the personal information on dating sites or where you work and what you do, you don't need strangers to find you blues. You don't know that the person on the other end of that dating profile is who they say they are until they have proved so. And, there's so many of these scams. Don't use your Facebook and Instagram photos. Don't use your public photos from your work. And I say that being on TV. I don't think I have any private photos. So, because you can always do a reverse photo lookup. and they can do the same thing with you. So if you say you're an actress, or you're working in a business that have your employment photo somewhere, it's not hard for you put that in your dating profile. They can take that photo and they can search for you, and then they'll find you, and then they know who you are and what you're doing. So just, don't need to use your headshot. Don't need to use your public profiles from other profiles for your dating shot. Let that be what it is. And you can always do research on the person. Again, reverse look up him. And if he works in a place, yes, I discriminate horribly when I tell you girls, don't tell the guys where you work and what you do, because I'm more worried about your safety than you guys. You just tell them, you guys, you tell all the girls whatever they want to know, because I want the girls to be safe and feel comfortable on the date that you're asking them to. So yes, I absolutely discriminate in favor of women's safety. Bite me. Let's see. Again, we can come to people who are. I don't date much, but when you see people you've met online, you met once, and they declare their devoted, undying love for you after the first date, as a warning sign. If you've ever seen one, if it's important, you'll take your time and get to know it, and the same thing from them. I'm back to the sixth sense. If something feels a little off or doesn't feel quite right, listen to your instinct. It's all about your safety. Listen to the instinct, even if you have to train yourself to doing that. Again, when you on dating profiles, if they don't want to meet because they're somewhere else, and again, watch out for what you send them. It could turn into money. Maybe they want to. I found that every time I have engaged in a conversation with a supposed female on a dating site, they always seem to be on a church trip in Africa, and 10 miles later, they get robbed and lose their wallet horribly. And it might be the sadist in me, because I start having a little fun with it and start asking them questions. Oh, what town are you from? Really? What town is it? What color is the city hall in that town? Where did you go to school? Really? I know somebody from there. What was your teacher's name? Because you know when it's off. You know it's off, and then you can either have fun with it or tell them to go away and attack their profile, but they'll delete the profile and come up with a new one. I went down to so far as to I'm looking at photos from women that say they were from America, and I'm looking at pictures, and I could see the wall socket was a European wall socket. And I'm like, all right, so they stole them off some German lady's dating profile. So yeah, just internet dating, be a little aware. And since no one else is really dating right now because you're all staying home and being safe, and this is a wonderful way, not only to hang and communicate with your family, this is a wonderful way to stay home and have virtual dates where you will be absolutely safe. Because you can have dinner together, screen to camera, camera to screen, and you can have long conversations and no one will get hurt, and you can keep your social distance until this whole thing is over. So, take your time, put up your web camera, and have virtual dates. At least you can spend a couple hours getting to know each other that way. Okay, so we are coronavirus time. I will put up this. There's a lot of scams going on because of this. Again, always remember, criminals will take advantage of a crisis. We have a crisis. This will be taken advantage of, not just to sell overpriced toilet paper at the back of the car. You will have all these fake check scams. Send us we are the government agency sending you this and this check. It's a great urgency. Send us all your banking information so we can transfer the money right away. The government's not going to send you. The IRS is not going to send you any emails asking for this. You have to log on to the site where you give the information to the government site. People show up at People show up at your door, and the CDC in white doctor's gowns and masks and everything, and offer to sell you a coronavirus test or a cure or sanitize your home, probably out of money and life. There's always an urgency with these things, and they'll always refer to, well, everybody else is buying this thing. You need to have this. You'll see those scams, the social pressure. They'll always claim to be from a reputable organization, but you have to check it. Same thing with the email scams. Look at where these come from. It's when you have the Amazon customer service at Hotmail. Now, you got to look at the don't. No one is going to send you emails and ask for your banking or private information. And if they are, if the CDC claim to have written you, then delete the email, call the CDC, and say, "Is there anything you need to tell me?" It doesn't work that way. And the same thing with the government check that is going to be coming out. From what I understand, with not enough information, is if you have filed your taxes and you get refunds deposited, they have your information. If not, you have to put your banking information in on a website that you can search and find fairly easy, I'm sure, because it'll take you to an official site. Beware of that. I will post this on the screen as I am talking for this very minute, so you can read some of these scans, take a screenshot. And then I want to talk a little bit about masks and cleaning for the coronavirus, because I see it a lot. I see it when I'm on duty. I see it when I am working. I see it all around me, that there seems to be a complete lack of understanding of how to use the things they tell you to use. Masks and gloves and glasses. And I know you're not all doctors and nurses, so you don't know how this works. So I want to explain this to you because it is actually important. Number one, the coronavirus, as far as I know, is spread through aerosol. It's spread through little droplets. People sneeze and talk, or they have spittle, and that can hang in the air for a few hours, depending. That is what you want to guard your 5 holes in your head from. When I say 5 holes, it also means your eyes. Mouth, nose, eyes. You want to cover that part of your face so you can't have anything, any droplets or of any size, come near your face, mouth, and eyes. So if you put on the mask, that's great, but you put on some glasses as well. And what I then see is, you go to the store, everybody's wearing a mask. That's fine. Depending, I see it in pharmacies. I've seen it on duty. I see a lot of times people we still have the social instinct of right and wrong. That it's rude to talk to other people wearing sunglasses, and it feels weird to talk to other people through a mask. So instinctively, because social friendliness, you want to take it off. And I see people come into work that come from the outside. They're wearing gloves, they're wearing the mask, and they come from the street where there's wind, where the coronavirus is not blowing around in the wind, because there's plenty of air out there. They come into the building and come to talk to people, and then they pull their mask down when they go up to talk to someone. But now you're inside a confined room. This is where the air is not moving and where the droplets can hang in the air for a longer time. This is where you get closer to people than if you pass them on the street. I'm not worried about passing people in the street or the beach or the park, because there's air and wind out there to blow these things literally out to sea. And so that's what when you come inside near people, that's where you want to cover up. And again, if you put on your gloves, I see this, although you put on your gloves to not touch your face. That's why you put on the gloves. Problem is with people that put on their gloves and then they touch their face with the gloves, but they're wearing gloves. It's what comes on the gloves that you need to worry about. You're touching all the surfaces wherever you are with the gloves, and now you're touching your face and your friend, and you pull your mask down, or even worse, you pull your mask up to your hair and your forehead, where you may have. You have to look at this as, and I'm exaggerating for effect. Pretend you have gone through a dust rain or dust storm, and you have these little particles of dust on whatever has been exposed. those little particles are the ones you don't want to breathe in near your nose, mouth, or eyes. Think of it that way. So you wear gloves, you touch your surface, and you now touch your face with the gloves. It's not about keeping your fingers off your face. It's about keeping those little particles that comes on your hands off your face. So that's why if you sanitize your hands and wash your hands often before you touch anything or after you touch something, you'll get the same effects as with the gloves. Again, with the mask and the glasses, cover up when you are interacting with people, and don't touch the masks or the glasses. You get in your car. I see people that wear the same mask, the gloves all the time, and then they touch the the steering wheel, their keys. They go in the store, they touch things, everything with the gloves. But say you touch something with your gloves. Now the gloves are contaminated. Now you're wearing the gloves in your car. You don't take the gloves off until you get home. But everything you have touched of your clothes, your handbag, your car keys, that's how you have to look at this. And I will say, I know the spread of this thing is more so than with the regular flu. However, the mortality is still incredibly low and mostly confined to people with pre-existing conditions. We are not all going to die. This is not the end of the world. I have several friends that have contracted this flu. None of them has been to the hospital. They're having a miserable time for some time at home, and they're both doing well. One of them was my former assistant, Krista. I had no idea. She's a wonderful woman. She contracted it because she was out shopping for elderly and people who could not go out or should not go out to the stores. So she was wearing her one glove. She touched the stuff with the one glove, but she was in and out of people's houses and grocery stores, and she got sick, and she's at home and she's recovering, and aces for the initiative. I think it's wonderful. We've all tried to, and we all should try to help and volunteer to keep those actually at risk at home. So we go shop for your neighbors if it's a little old lady. Go shop for your grandparents. But keep the distance between you and them. Here's the stuff you touch in a grocery store in the bag. Make sure they clean it and wear gloves when they pick it up, so you don't transmit anything through what you bring into their house. You don't have to go breathe on them, but you can breathe on stuff or sneeze on things that you then bring into their house. So that's how this thing spreads, and that's what you have to watch out for. Ideally, you should not use a mask more than once, then throw it out. That is obviously not an option right now. It's about nothing is foolproof. It's about keeping things off your face and off your mouth, and keeping the little airborne droplets away from any kind of entrance to your face. You don't want to breathe this in. And at the same time, what I feel we have forgotten to talk about is this is about your immune system and your overall health. If you have a good immune system, you will beat this thing if you catch it. There's a lot more people, and you will see the numbers go up. As testing goes up, you'll see the numbers go up, obviously. But just because people have this flu doesn't mean that they're going to be on the goner list. Just because you catch this thing doesn't mean it's ready to sew yourself into a body bag. But for all of you, and this is something you should be doing, regardless, coronavirus or not, eat C vitamin every day. A lot of C vitamin. Eat zinc. Get some sunlight if you can. Keep your multivitamins up. Zinc is good for your immune system. Strengthen your immune system, especially during flu seasons, regardless. If you eat well and you have plenty of vitamins and good sleep and you take care of yourself, you are far more likely to get out on top if you catch this thing. Same thing with health and fitness. The better shape you're in, the better chance you have to get over this thing. So stay in shape, eat healthy, C vitamin, zinc, D, and be safe. Yes, keep your distance. And if you you clean your surface sores with hand sanitizer. All that vinaigrette, healthy, no chemicals, all that cleaner, it's bullcrap. You don't want it. You want 60% alcohol in your cleaner minimum. You want to kill bacteria, and organic vinegar disinfectant does not work. It just doesn't do the job. Good old alcohol, kill this thing. And stay safe and stay courteous and try to help each other. And remember, this thing will end. I have my own thoughts on how we're dealing with this. I think, yes, you should take it serious, even if you're young and you're in shape. You should, because you could bring it to somebody who cannot handle it as well as you can. However, I think we need to take a look at the numbers and see how many people are actually dying versus how many people have had this or will contract it and come out fine. I'm not a doctor. It is my own opinion. There's a common sense aspect to this that we need to implement. But it'll pass. But be aware that there are people that will take advantage of a crisis. And be safe, be well. And if you have any dating questions for the life that comes after coronavirus, please ask. You know where to write me. Send me an email or down below, or give me a comment if there's anything you want me to talk about. Let me know. We'll get back to normal summer sunshine soon enough. I promise. Take care.